Welcome to the Krusty Krab.
Oh, maybe...
Are you planning on ordering today, sir?
Hey guys, I'm gonna go ahead and start the build and just talk over top of it. I am so sorry that I haven't posted anything in a while. I've been dealing with some pandemic related stuff, as I'm sure everyone has at this exact moment. We are almost 9 months into 2020. I did manage to record and build and record 2 things over the past 3 weeks, so this is one of them. Yeah, one thing that I had to do to get those seashells is I couldn't find them in the build catalog at all, but I knew that those pink seashells to make the sign existed in the game, and I don't know if there's a cheat to get collectibles. There is. I couldn't find the one for that specific seashell, so I literally had to take my sim to the beach, have her dig around until I got 2 of those exact seashells in the middle of a thunderstorm. It was ridiculous. It was dumb. We found them. We moved on. There are a ton of Krusty Krab build videos out there, but I had 2 very specific goals with this build. I wanted it to be as accurate to the show as possible, and I'll be showing you guys some reference screenshots, and also to make it a usable restaurant. So it's built in Sulani for obvious reasons, and I paid absolutely 0 attention to the number of packs that I used, and so I ended up using 14. So if you guys have
Eco Lifestyle, Discover University, Island Living, Seasons, Cats and Dogs, City Living, Get Together, Get to Work, Jungle Adventure, Vampires, Dine Out, Tiny Living, Laundry Day, and Cool Kitchen,
then go ahead and download this build on the gallery. When I am trying to copy existing builds in The Sims, I have to use the tool mod all the time. You'll see me using it constantly throughout this video. And I spent so much time trying to figure out what flags to put in front of the restaurant, you know, like those that they have in front of the restaurant on the show. And I couldn't find any that matched the size, shape, and color that I needed, but with the tool mod, I could take other little flags from other parts of the game and just mess with them in space until I had them exactly where I needed to be. Like, you've got the little yellow food one, which is so cute, and then the fish one, which made sense, except it kind of makes it look like a fish restaurant. I don't think they'd be eating fish, because they are fish. This is not an ad for Twisted Mexie's mods, except that it is, because you should download them, because they're amazing. Twisted Mexie is single-handedly fixing build mode in The Sims. But you don't need me to tell you that, because Simsy has made plenty of videos about it recently, and y'all have all probably already seen it. But I agree, and I highly recommend, and I will throw a link to the tool mod in the description down below, but I highly suggest watching a tutorial video before using it, because otherwise you'll be helplessly angry and confused like I was for so very long. So right now I'm putting down, as you can see on the Krusty Krab, it has the edges of the building are these really big blocks, these planks. They have it going around the bottom and then also on the edges. I'm a big old dumb. I'm a real big dumb. Before I figured out a way easier way of making the sort of rounded edges, I decided to use boards and you'll see it later. It's really pathetic, me trying to create a curve using upsized debug flour bags. Eventually I'll just use a wall. So don't worry about it, that'll be later, but yeah, basically I was just trying to cover the entire roof in these planks that sort of rotate like that, so you get a nice smooth roof, because there is no wooden roof texture. It's all that sort of thatched roof. What's the word? What word am I looking for? It's like wheat, but not wheat. Straw! Yes, straw roofs. They've got lots of straw roofs. They don't have any wooden roofs. So basically just using the tool mod to slowly rotate pieces of wood all the way over. And the large pieces of wood that I ended up putting in the corners, I haven't done it yet. You'll see it in a minute. For some reason, the Sims would act like the Sims would act like they couldn't walk through it. And I'm like, it's a debug object. You can walk through it. What are you talking about? So it would be over here, the piece of wood would be over here, and the Sim would be way over here going I can't get in the room because of that piece of wood in the corner, and I'm like, it's nowhere near you. What do you do? So I'll end up deleting that too. Don't worry about it. I also, you can see the beginning of a line sort of around the ground, like that black line. That was also meticulously placed tiny pieces of like debug items that I delete them later, so that's why I didn't show myself putting them down on the ground that whole time, because they don't stay. So yeah, I see people doing that all the time, trying to like create winding paths with tiny pieces of debug items meticulously placed one after the other, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that, and then later I end up deleting all of it and just doing something different. So he wants to watch us build. Why are you so mad? Are you mad? If you guys hear any munching noises, it's because my cat is eating treats directly under my microphone. But anyway, this video is part of the movie magic series that I'm doing. If y'all haven't seen any of my other videos in the playlist, I will link to them down below. If you follow me on the Sims gallery, which you should, and my gallery name, my gallery ID is the same as the name of this channel, then you'll have already seen that I did the buyer's house from Stranger Things. And I already got a suggestion a couple videos ago to do the house from The Haunting of Hill House, which I probably will do as soon as I find someone to watch the show. Ooh, my cat ran away. As soon as I find someone to watch the show with me, because I'm a big old baby. So, if y'all have any other fun ideas or anything that you'd like to see, then please let me know down below. I'm just a teeny tiny little channel, so if you guys suggest something, then I will definitely see it and more than likely build it. And I also really love to do Let's Plays, so if you have a specific challenge or storyline that you'd like to see, then please holler at your girl. That would be me. Today, as I'm recording this, there was a new game pack announced yesterday, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because there are plenty of discussions going on. There are too many opinions going around. I've seen everyone's opinions. Y'all don't need to hear another one, but I'm going to give you mine anyway. Just real quick. I don't love Star Wars. I have never loved Star Wars. It's not something I grew up with. I am more of a Star Trek person. Like, if this had been like a Lord of the Rings pack, I'd be ecstatic, but instead, EA has the rights to make Star Wars games, so they put in a Star Wars pack, which I totally understand, but a lot of people love Star Wars and are really excited about this pack. So I would just urge anyone watching this to be just a little bit sensitive to those people and lay off the criticism a little bit. But at the same time, Season 2, Episode 4 of The Office, Ryan says,
"It is 10 times more expensive to sign a new customer."
It is 10 times more expensive to sign a new customer. I think this pack is a cash grab that won't add anything to the existing game and won't integrate well into existing worlds. And since I'm personally mostly a builder and don't have a huge YouTube following, I probably won't get this pack. There's really no reason for me personally to get it. We don't all have to like it. You don't have to download every pack. You don't have to like every pack. That's why it's DLC. It's optional. We don't have to like them all or download them all, so I'm not personally too bummed or mad about this new Star Wars pack, even though I really don't like Star Wars. I'm just really happy for the people that do and the people that got a new pack. I don't know, I just think that we need to all like chill out just a teeny bit. Something kind of funny happened with the, if you guys see on the front of the building, there are these little circles that are for rivets, because on the actual Krusty Krab there are planks, and then there are these rivets on the front of it. And so I used debug bowls turned sideways and then sized down to sort of look like metal rivets, just random bowls that are the debug part of the catalog. And I don't know, I thought that they looked decent. I mean, there are other, rivet looking items in debug, or even not even in debug, just in the normal buy catalog, but I thought they looked fine. And then after playtesting a little bit and having the, being in live mode, I'm serious. Please comment down below whether you think it's live mode or live mode, because I say both all the time. I'm gonna go for live mode at the moment, but please let me know what you say, or like what everyone says, because there's no consensus. I have no idea. Yeah, so after being in live mode for a little bit, I started seeing like these weird green wispies all over the roof, and I was like, what is going on? What is rotting on the roof? And apparently the bowls, there's something in them, and it rotted. So I don't know. I later in the video, I end up deleting them and replacing them with like actual metal rivets, but I was just like, what is going on? Because so many things were going wrong while I was playtesting this. I never playtest my builds ever, but I was like, I really want this to be a real working restaurant. And, you know, they couldn't go through doors. They couldn't use the kitchen because they couldn't go through the door for absolutely no reason. It was just, it was a nightmare. And so you're welcome. You guys are welcome. You should download and use this build. I did go into the gallery and look at a bunch of other Krusty Krab builds just to see what people did, mostly regarding Squidward's little boat cashier station that he hangs out at, because I couldn't find an equivalent in the game. There are no like small boats. I was hoping it would be debugged so that the characters could just walk right through it. You'll see later what I end up doing. Yeah, so I ended up looking at a lot of builds. Some people made a working restaurant but made it really big, so the scale was off. My goal was to make it as realistic as possible. So the restaurant's really small, but it was play tested. So, you know, everything that you need is in here. It's got a working bathroom. Eventually it'll have the chef station. You know, I ended up having to put the host station outside because it wouldn't work here inside of a bathtub size down. You need a lot of space for the host station for some reason, but eventually we'll have everything in here. It is a working restaurant. It's just, it was really frustrating with all the debug objects trying to make it so that people could actually use the space. Also, I complain about this a lot in builds based on movie sets, cartoon sets, whatever. The outside never matches the inside. The scale of the outside is always completely different from the inside, and in SpongeBob in particular, there are a lot of, they'll add things in later seasons. You know, they'll just make these small changes because no one's really paying that much attention to, like, the floor plan of the Krusty Krab. It doesn't need to make a ton of sense. It's a kid's show. So, they change things a lot, and so I just tried to make it as approximate as I could. Tried to keep the restaurant really small because Sims builds always look better smaller. They always do. So if you're ever looking at this and you're like, I grew up watching SpongeBob and something in here is wrong and I'm gonna complain about it, then just know that it's correct based on some things. It's incorrect based on other things. The outside doesn't match the inside on the show. And the scale is off because, you know, the scale in The Sims, it doesn't equal real life. It just doesn't. And, you know, so we did what we could. But it is playable. If you have all the 14 packs that I put into this, then yes, it is playable. The insides of these builds are always so much more fun to build than the outside. The outside was just so tedious because I chose to make it that way with all the debug planks and rotating and everything. But the inside is so much more fun to build because it's kind of minimalist anyway. It's just like some tables, a register, and an oven, and a couple of storage things. So this corner right here there are actual shots of this side of the, well, we're in the office now, but there are actual shots of that side of the kitchen. But we're going to end up deleting that and putting the chef station there because it didn't really fit anywhere else. But as far as I know, we have never actually seen the inside of the bathroom in the Krusty Krab, but based on the floor plan that I decided for this and where there was an extra door to a room that I had never seen and sort of a bump out in the kitchen, I was like, that has to be the bathroom. But it can only be 2 squares big, so we just ended up having to put a teeny tiny little, you know, toilet and sink in there, and I chose the saddest toilet and sink I could in the entire game because I figured Mr. Krabs would have chosen the same ones. Just completely pathetic, wooden, homemade. The wallpaper in the main dining area and the kitchen and everything is just this sort of like mottled blue wallpaper. In the show, it's actually metal panels that are riveted together, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to, you know, alt place more stuff, especially all over the walls. No. So I just went with this, which I think looks fine. And these little hanging signs are the, like, order here sign and the menu, which is just sort of hanging from the ceiling. And with I really wanted to do the, for the tables and chairs. So in the show, the tables are sideways, wheels, boat wheels, whatever these are called. I'm like losing words at this point, but boat wheels. those things that you see me messing with and turning sideways. The tables ended up not being usable for some reason. Well, for obvious reasons. So I ended up having to get rid of it. And the chairs are little barrels in this show. And so I was like, okay, I'll just do stools and I'll put like debug boxes around it because people can walk through debug stuff, so it'll be fine. Ended up having to delete all of that, just ended up doing normal tables and chairs. Really boring, really sad, but, you know, it's what we had to do to make it actually playable. Otherwise I would have left it the way it is because it's really cute. But I wanted you guys to be able to actually use it if you have all 14 packs that I ended up putting in the build. So yeah, so here's us replacing the rivets because they were molding with actual, you know, sized down pipe ends or whatever those are supposed to be. What are we doing now? Oh yeah, so so here we ended up I ended up just building giant pillars out of walls. I don't know why I was so adamant about like sizing up large pieces of wood to create these pillars when I could have just made a rectangle out of a wall. We learn things, we grow. We think about them and then we go, oh, we were being really dumb, and then we move on. Same with, you know, using a foundation instead of sizing up debug blocks of wood. The debug issue was just such a huge issue that I just kept running into where my sim, I cut it all out of the video because it was nothing to see, but just my sim was just complaining over and over again, I can't go into the kitchen, I can't go through walls. I like hired a full staff and they were like, I can't even get in the building, and I was like, I'm gonna scream. Yes, you can. So I eventually just, you know, just did what The Sims allows me to do in the first place. So I looked for some crisscrossed rope to be able to put on the side of the building and just size it up. I couldn't find any that I liked. So for the netting on the side of the building, you know, I'll put a picture over there so you can see it. The netting on the side of the building, I upsized and rotated wands from Realm of Magic. So this is just a bunch of wands that I've upsized. I saw someone building something recently where they used similar wands. I think that someone was building Cinderella's castle from Disney World, and they also used those wands, and I was like, oh, I thought that I had struck some brilliance using these wands for something weird for the first time. But no, apparently a lot of people use them for different things all the time. So I really encourage you guys to do that sometime. If you're building and you're like, well, I don't have this object, make the object, as long as you don't have to use it. You know, if you need rope, just scroll through debug, find something that looks like a piece of rope, and then just copy paste. Well, you can't copy paste with debug objects, but just keep duplicating it until you know, have the object that you want. And that's how people, you know, you'll see people making these really cool paths and things that actually, you know, curve in The Sims, and a lot of the time it's just 1,000 tiny bags of flour. So yeah, so just start looking at objects in The Sims more as shapes than actual objects. Like, just completely ignore what it actually is, and then you might be able to make something really cool. So there's this YouTuber that I follow named Sati Sim, and she, in my opinion, is the queen of creating new objects. Like, I've seen her use the tool mod to make some of the coolest stuff that I have seen in The Sims. So don't run from this video to watch her videos, keep watching my video, but I highly recommend, if you want to see someone just make some insanely cool stuff, just using objects where you're like, I didn't know we had that object in the game, and it's because she made it by combining other objects. Sati Sim, S-A-T-I, highly recommend. She's very cool. So we are coming towards the end of the video. I hope you guys like it. I hope that you know, saw a little nostalgia in it. Yeah, I just love SpongeBob. I wanted this restaurant in my game, but all the other restaurants, Krusty Krabs that I saw, were a little too big, and so I was like, I'm gonna make it myself. So hope you guys like it. Goodbye.